Hello everyone, this is For the Record. We are back from a bit of an unplanned hiatus. It did involve some personal recovery time. Thank you so much for your calls and email, checking to see what happened to the program. We are definitely glad to be with you again. Well, we are going to spend a bit of time talking about Rock Island this morning. The city recently unveiled more detailed plans to revitalize the district, creating an arts alley that builds off the current theater district and breaking up the section of 2nd Avenue between 18th and 19th Streets that's closed to traffic now, then opening it to traffic with the goal of creating a destination for businesses that attract guests day and night. More than $7 million will be invested there. That optimistic idea gets juxtaposed with the recent evacuation of an older building downtown, an example of the fragile nature economic investments can be. Nobody hurt, and the damage not serious enough to warrant demolition, but the timing of it being less than a month after the deadly building collapse in Davenport, a little unsettling to say the least. These recent events have Rock Island city leaders paying attention to the old buildings downtown while focusing on bringing something new to the heart of the city. We'll talk about that this morning with Rock Island Mayor Mike Tomes. Great to see you again, sir.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Let's start with the old, specifically the building downtown on 17th Street that was recently evacuated after reports of bricks falling from the building. This less than a month after that building collapsed in Davenport. What went through your mind when you first heard about the problem there?
Well, the first thing goes through is the safety and making sure the people inside are safe and anybody on the street. That's the very first thing that went through the mind. After that is what are the next steps? And so we followed through with that. Talked to the owners, talked to the representative for the owner, and they were right on it, very accommodating, and got an engineer involved with it, and found out that it's not a real severe issue. The pulpit up at the top can be replaced and move on forward.
Was there anything about what happened in Davenport cross your mind at all?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it makes you think about that and what precautions you take. But they seem to be on top of it. But that is a thought. There's no doubt about it.
You mentioned earlier, it turns out inspectors didn't find serious structural problems, so that's certainly a good thing. How much, though, is what happened at the Davenport apartment complex a wake-up call generally for Rock Island and maybe even the Quad Cities as a whole?
I think it is, as you put it, a wake-up call, and that's for sure. And we've gone and looked at records, and we've gone and looked at other buildings that maybe we've had some thoughts about and everything else, and talked to a few of those owners and said, hey, let's take a look at this or that. We've got two other buildings that we're talking to those owners about some issues. One will probably be another demo down off of 1st Avenue, or 1st Street, and another one on 2nd Avenue that we're talking to owners. Nothing major to worry about, but makes us think about it. And
so you're saying you think a building in downtown, another building might be needing to be demolished?
Another building does need to be demolished. It's not occupied now. It has been occupied for many years. It'll have to be demolished. It's kind of the same reason, but there's no doubt the foundation is starting to fail.
Well, we know there are a lot of old buildings throughout the Quad Cities. You know, Davenport, we know. Rock Island, no exceptions included in all of this. So are there plans, I guess, you talked about there are a couple buildings in question, but is there a need for a broader scale to look at just every building that's downtown, just have inspections done, make sure everyone's up to date, and that there are no potential structural issues, just to go inside every single one of them, just to make sure that you're not leaving any stone unturned?
At this point, that has not been a discussion to go through everyone and talk about it and do some research inside of them. You could take a look at some have had major remodels in the past, and we've got the building inspections on those in the notes, and so you wouldn't have to go into those either. But no, we have not. I know in Rock Island at this point, they're saying we're going to go and knock on every door and check on every building. No.
Why not? Do you feel why not feel the need just to be on the safe side?
You know, some of the buildings are newer and different type of construction. There's been enough happen that we know the type of construction that's there. In some cases, the bricks on the outside are just a brick veneer facade that, yes, they could fall and that could be damaged, but the building won't fall. They're column supported and the floors are supporting, and so it's a different type of construction. It makes a difference on which type of building you look at. So at this point, we don't think we need to cover all avenues with everybody, but there's no doubt there are ones that we do have a good understanding about we're going to be talking to.
And in general, though, are you confident that the city is staffed well enough to handle inspections on an increased level if needed?
Oh, absolutely. We've got some great inspectors. We're not missing any at this point, especially for commercial side, and so their talent is there. That's for sure. But there's plenty of outside source to look at it too. And that's the best thing to do is if you have a concern, get an independent contractor, engineer, so it's impartial on any which way. to make people feel comfortable and to have that up-to-date thoughts.
Let's switch to the new now, something you're really happy about. It's something that's generating a lot of hope among you and the other city leaders. That is the revitalization of the district as a whole and the recent unveiling of those plans. The goal is to make it a family-friendly area. There's an arts district component of this, building on the theaters that are already existing there. More than $7 million being used for this, TIF funding as well as federal money for this. How confident are you that this will work?
I am confident it's going to happen. Very confident that it's going to happen, because in this time, more than any other time, because now the money is here, set aside specifically for this use, where before we've had the plans but not the money. We've got the money, now we're working on the detailed plans. So it's going to happen. Now whether it works, you got to, once again, that's where the devil's in the detail and planning and thinking ahead. There's nobody could write a guarantee that it's going to work. That's for sure. But we really feel confident that the community involvement, and specifically the community downtown involvement, along with the other community involvement, when you get buy-in from those people, that really makes a big difference. When you have the stakeholders in the buildings getting involved and having some thoughts, that helps them stimulate their mind thought of what they're going to do with their properties.
I don't think anybody can be disappointed with the plans because they do look good and look attractive, but again, it is about making it work, and as you mentioned, there is buy-in from the existing businesses that are there. Certainly an important component, but the city will need to attract new businesses to those empty storefronts. That's really, we need even more buy-in from the outside. I know you're not leading the project directly, so I apologize for putting too much on you.
No, you're fine.
But what do you think it will take to make that happen, to get that buy-in from the outside?
We have a couple things put in place. We've taken some COVID money, once again, some ARPA money, and we've started a process we're calling GRIT and PEP. And it is monies to help incubate new businesses, to help grow some businesses, and to help sustain and retain jobs. But and most of it is in grants, which is really needed when you're incubating and starting something new. They lack capital. So we've got some capital to be able to give out. We've got some revolving loans. We've got some forgivable loans that we can do. So we have some money set aside to help attract businesses. And the city is working with Dari on that. But then again, we also have the new Rock Island Downtown Association, this SSA that we've talked about, that you have another entity also working on safety and cleanliness and programming of a downtown area that needs to happen at the same time to make sure there's continued continuity, and that's there for long term. So those two together, we're confident that we're going to be able to attract some businesses downtown.
We all know that Rock Island once had a pretty vibrant nightlife, especially late night, in fact. We've seen that dissipate significantly in recent years. To what extent are these plans a way to bring back that part of Rock Island? Or are you trying to get away from that?
No, we're not trying to get away from it. We still want some nightlife. But we want to add some day life. Before it was mostly night and not during the day or evening, and so we want both. We want to attract families. We want young kids, but then as the evening gets on, we go to the more adult type entertainment. It may not be the clubs that you had saw before. It could be a restaurant that also has that nightlife to it. You want some entertainment. So we really want to try to have, I hate to say everything, but how can you program the downtown for day and evening for everybody?
Is there a sense that Rock Island's kind of fallen behind in recent years to the other Quad Cities in terms of revitalization and business development? We've seen what's gone on East Moline with the bend over there. Moline and Bendorf both have access to the land from the old I-74 bridge going away, and then of course Davenport's done a lot with its downtown. Do you feel Rock Island's fallen behind?
Yes, we have. Not feeling it, we have. The downtown is tired. We've fallen behind. We didn't keep up with the current events and type of businesses that you need in a downtown to attract people and attract businesses. So there's no doubt. That is a fact. We are behind, but we are going to catch up and be a player in that.
Is there a sense that there's desperation to find something that works?
No, I would not call it desperation by any means. Anxious, excited, but not desperation.
Let's move on to what's going on now in the construction work that's just a few blocks away from the district. One is a new parking lot to replace the old parking garage in downtown. This is a city project.
Yes, it is.
What's the progress there?
It's great. It's going to open up in the next day or two. They took some fencing down, and they've got sweepers out there, and so it's literally just days from opening up. And boy, they got some great landscaping, some artwork out there. We've got 4 chargers for electric vehicles, so it's going to be a great asset for the city. Opens it up, makes it, you look downtown, the views are a lot different. So that's close.
There are a couple of other big projects, the building that will be home to the federal courthouse and the new YWCA building. How much do you know about where those stand? I know these aren't your directly oversight here.
But I've got some good insight. They're hoping that late this fall, early winter, the YWCA will be open. They're moving along. They feel like they're about 50% complete at this point. And then the federal courthouse, unfortunately, that one is not until the fall of 2024. The exterior is about done, and they will have that done. They got some delays in working with the federal government because there's 7 different federal government agencies in there, and trying to coordinate all those, what they needs are inside and everything else, took some time. They finally got that ironed out and are just now beginning that process. So we're 12 months away. Are better from that totally being over.
Sounds like you're excited about a lot of the stuff in the works, though.
Absolutely. You know, federal courthouse, even though it's not a city project, it is one that is going to be on the property tax rolls. It's privately held, leased to the federal government, and so it's bringing good paying jobs and bringing revenue downtown.
Rock Island Mayor Mike Tomes, thanks for the conversation. Good luck with everything in the city.
Thank you very much.
Coming up after the collapse, the federal government says no to Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds' first call for help dealing with the Davenport building collapse. How much politics does that play? For the record.